Hello, and welcome to Scenes from the Screen, the film-focused show for all ages, where we cover movies that flicker to life on screens both big and small. You'll find everything from comedy to horror, cult classics to major studio franchises, big budget to independent, theater releases, streaming premieres, and everything in between. Stick around and you might discover a new gem or be reintroduced to an old forgotten favorite. My name is Sean, and I'll be your host. In this episode, we are doing one of my personal favorites and also a favorite of my guest. My friend Bill is here to discuss the movie Night Shift from 1982. So welcome aboard, Bill, and tell us a little bit about yourself and movies, whatever you want to let people know.
I'm just a big fan of early comedies, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. This here, we've talked about it. It's one of the most underrated comedies that I've seen.
I agree. And I think you said that not many people appreciate it, which they don't. Not many people, even know it exists, much less love it for just being hilarious.
I think the issue is like it never got a big run in the theaters. I think most people picked it up like when it became available on VHS.
Yeah, for me, it was HBO. I watched it religiously. It was on 5 times a day. That's how many times I was watching it. Yeah. That's one of the first VHS I ever bought in that big plastic clamshell. I still remember that, like how huge those things were. But there's one, watching this again, and I laugh all the way through it. I pretty much memorized it. But, here's a question I have for you. Did the idea of being a pimp seem to be enticing back in the 80s? Because with this and like Dr. Detroit and a couple other ones, notwithstanding the elements of danger surrounding the profession, but it seemed to be really like, they promoted it as like an actual career choice. I can imagine the news interviews, analysts going like, "Oh, we're really seeing an uptick in young males entering the pimphood."
Are we talking about pimps or are we talking about love brokers?
Love brokers, you and me, buddy. Yeah, it's odd, like how many, when you think back, how many movies they had about pimps back then, which, and later on in the 80s, I'm going to get you, sucker, had a pimp in it. I just thought that was strange, but
that was the ultimate pimp, and I'm going to get you, sucker.
You're the fly guy, man. You better believe it. So basically, the premise of the movie is Henry Winkler plays this beleaguered, meek man who has a knack for finance, but not the intestinal fortitude to follow through with it. He's just kind of, shy and reserved, and he's anxious. So he works in a morgue and gets demoted in a way to the night shift, where his new partner, Billy Blazkowski, played by Michael Keaton, kind of comes into his life like a Tasmanian devil almost, and throws it into a tizzy. The kid. You like music? It's just, well, let me ask you, because I didn't notice this until I watched it again the other day. So the two kids playing basketball at the beginning.
Yeah.
Did you recognize the one from anything?
I recognized him, but I don't remember what he was in.
So immediately I was like, I watch him and go, that's Special Agent Johnson from Die Hard. The other one. Remember how they were Special Agent Johnson? Special Agent Johnson is like no relation. He was one of the Special Agent Johnsons. He was also in Lethal Weapon. He plays a detective in the Lethal Weapon movies. And I'm like, I'd never thought about him being in this film.
There's a lot of people, this was like one of their first movies.
Yeah, Shannon Doherty, I forgot, was in there. She played the little Girl Scout. She was the one blowing the whistle.
The blue bell.
Yeah. She with Kevin Costner. Now I think that's pretty much common knowledge. But yeah, I thought that was just kind of funny. I'm like, oh, there's Special Agent Johnson. Like, how many people would think that?
If you think about it, Michael Keaton was an unknown.
This was his first major role. Yeah.
Diane Keaton hadn't really hit it big on Cheers yet.
You mean Shelley Long?
Yeah, Shelley Long.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking about Henry Winkler. He was trying to transition from the Fawn.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of people in this movie that you surprised. Like,
and it works. That's the thing. It really works on a huge comedic level because there's so many laughs in this film. Because it was written by Lowell Gans and Babalu Mandel, who did a lot of, I think, the Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley's back then, which were funny when they wrote them.
Yeah.
Early on they were fun. They started to get a little stale towards the end.
I think in all those genres, eventually you get stale. Because how many times can you go over teenage angst and Happy Days?
Exactly, right. And especially when they're in their 40s, at that point, but they're still in high school. I think that's goes without saying, but. Like I mentioned before real quick about 1982, this movie came out. We also did The King of Comedy. And I'm thinking like, well, can't keep doing 82, but I could probably do at least 26 weeks on 1982 films alone. There are tons of movies.
Absolutely.
82. And maybe, we'll do one in the future. But So when you saw this movie originally, like, what did you think of Henry Winkler? Like, could you accept him as something else but the Fonz?
Yeah, I mean, I think he shows his depth of what he can do. I mean, he just, as the Fonz, he was trying to be like this, somewhat cool guy that all the kids looked up to. But here he kind of showed what his range would be.
Right, because it was like a 180 from the Fonz.
Oh,
like, he was not cool. He was just so put upon by his, his girlfriend, fiance, I guess, mother. Actually, everyone that comes into his life, basically, the guy who delivers sandwiches, he never gets the right sandwich. The dog who chases him down the hall every day. I mean, I think one of the funniest scenes is when he goes next door, he hears that music, and he knocks on the door, and the guy, you just hear this voice, "Who the hell?" And he just lowers his head. Like, he knows there's going to be trouble. Like, it's just no stopping it now. So he's great in that. He really is.
And when he says, "Is he going to stop playing that awful music?" What does she mean by awful? He's like, awful good.
He's awful good. Yeah, I mean, he's fantastic in it.
It's just some of the delivery, like when she says, "What does she do?" Like when Shelley Long comes to the door and "What does she do, Chuck?" And he's like, "She sells cowboy hats."
Man was in his underwear.
Cowboy underwear.
It just seems natural. And I don't know if she bought it or not, but yeah, I mean, it's just I love it. It takes him a while to finally come around to wanting to do that. For what first Keaton, Billy Blazkowski, he's using it as a limo service.
Yeah.
So he's like, it's a limo for dead people. So, I mean, that's great. He's just starting his own business out of the morgue, and then when Shelley Long's character loses her pimp, he's the pimp that dies at the beginning of the film.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt Franklin. Or what is I remember?
Was Franklin Delano Roosevelt Jones, I think. Was it Jones? Yeah, I mean, so she doesn't get a pimp. She's roughed up. That's when they decide to.
But the comedy starts right at the beginning when the guy goes to dunk and Franklin comes crashing down through the hoop. It doesn't even faze me. He turns, "Pay up."
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like it's normal in the neighborhood.
Yeah, like a guy's dead on the concrete.
Right.
He's like, "Pay up."
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely hysterical.
And then it goes a little further. The cops come and he's like, "I won. He wouldn't pay me."
Right. And it's those little throwaway lines like that really make. I mean, most movies too. And that's a whole other podcast I'd like to do. Sometimes I think about these throwaway lines in movies that are so good, just and people overlook them, but they make you laugh.
But I don't think that's one of those things like you pick up on right away. You start to see all the little things after you watch it more and more.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and you still find things.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, I knew the line, but so basically, his fiance, she makes him check the apartment anytime before they have sex.
Yeah.
And at one point, they bring the party. When all the girls, they have a frat party. They have it in the morgue because they can't have it at the frat house. So, Henry Winkler's character Chuck, he said to Belinda, "Oh, it is really weird and everything." And she goes, "They're always looking for new ways to do it." She's like, "Don't you have a fantasy?" And he said, "One time I'd like to do it without checking the apartment first." I totally forgot about that line, and I just actually laughed out loud. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
It is good. It's subtle too.
It is. I actually kind of laughed too because Richard Belzer's in it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, I wonder if at one point Detective Munch ever busted his doppelganger for anything at that point. I mean, maybe the Munch was a little bit later, but because it was in Baltimore probably at that point for Homicide: Life on the Street. He didn't join the special victims, Law and Order cast at that point. But I just kind of thought that'd be kind of funny. You bust in your own, "Hey, you look a lot like me."
Well, Belzer's like, people know him from those later roles, but he was actually a stand-up comic.
Right. Yeah, he absolutely was. Yeah, he was a good stand-up comic too.
And then he transitioned to that. The first one he was in that Baltimore.
Yeah, it was Homicide. Yeah, Life on the Streets.
He transitioned to see it or whatever.
Law and Order. Yeah, and then I mean, he was in, and plus he played that character on like X-Files and other shows. Like he would just pop up on.
Yeah.
Which I thought was odd but funny. Hey, keep that running. Milk that cash cow. Yeah, it's sad. I always love Richard Belzer. Yeah, here's one thing too. It's got a great soundtrack, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I mean, anytime somebody mentions Night Shift, I immediately, not the Commodores, I immediately go to Quarter Flash.
I was thinking about that, and I was like, it's one of those '80s bands, had a couple hits, but nothing major.
Right.
But to have your song in a movie, whether it's a mainstream, it's pretty big.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I remember searching for that soundtrack back then. It was available on CD. I don't know if it ever has been. I think it was available on vinyl at one point, but at that point, you're younger, you wanted kind of the CD or the cassette. So I never got it. I've actually had to download it by piecemeal over the years through, now through the internet, thankfully.
But I'm assuming back then there was no such thing as CDs. It was all
New 82. There wasn't. Well,
you're looking at, it might have been even on 8-track.
I think it's
the cassette.
And I think the first CD was around 80, because it was Billy Joel's Glass Houses was the first actually printed CD. So it might have been 80. Like, they weren't mass produced at that point. That didn't come out till a little bit later, but I think they were like,
the CD back in the 80s was like $9,000.
Right. Unless you joined the Columbia Record and Tape Club.
That was just the CDs. I'm talking about the CD player back then.
CD player. Oh yeah. Well, anything new was super expensive, but yeah, I think the best thing about this movie, to be honest with you, and I thought a lot about this, it's got a lot of heart, because there's that scene after the Christmas party where they're all talking about things, and you see that Michael Keaton's depth at that point too. You see what he can do. But if none of those people or any one of them were committed to this movie to play this character such nuances, this would not work. It would not be a good movie. Not as good.
I mean, I think sometimes the cast has to have that kind of commitment, chemistry with one another,
right,
to make it, timeless. Right. Here we are talking about it in 2026. What is that? 50 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, nearly. I mean, just think about it, that's insane. And again, not a lot of people have heard of this movie. I mean, my wife has a couple. I loaned it to a friend about a year or so ago, and they're like, "Yeah, it's okay." I'm like, "What do you mean it's okay?" And I get, but it is a timeless comedy, which I don't like. It's like saying Trading Places is okay. Dude, that's like one of the funniest comedies ever. And
it's one of those things, like, you have to like that type of comedy.
Raunchy comedy. Well, he does, and that was the weird thing. Like, why I don't understand why you don't like it, because it is raunchy. And I noticed this too, like the raunchier comedies, the raunchier the comedy, the better.
Yeah.
They tend to be funnier. Like, I don't know how many PG funny movies there are. Maybe City Slickers, but it's not laugh out loud. I mean, it's funny, but it's not.
Yeah, but it's not like that raunchy comedy like this. It was more like a wholesome kind of.
Right. Like an Animal House is a raunchy comedy.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that. And those are always the funniest. Those are the ones that are timeless classics. Let's see. I was laughing because I know you'd get this reference, but I was thinking, like, Keaton's performance is one of unbridled enthusiasm. Do you know what I'm referring to there?
Uh-uh.
The Seinfeld, when they were talking about the Billy Mumphrey, when Elaine had to read that book and tell them what she said. And Kramer read the book when he was when they were fumigating Jerry's apartment. But yeah, I just thought of unbridled enthusiasm and started laughing. Let's see. Did you catch the Pittsburgh reference, by the way, that Keaton throws out there?
The Jagoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that.
I had totally forgotten about that until we watched the movie.
I did too. When we were watching, I was like, there's a Pittsburgh reference there with the Jagoff.
That's what my wife said. She goes, I knew he did something Pittsburgh in there. And I'm like, yeah, it wasn't until the end. So that's why, yeah. And it's, I love, he's talking to Willie Chichi.
Yeah.
From the Godfather movies, which is, that guy was great.
From the Rocky movies.
He's from the Rocky movies too, yeah. Why can't I think of his name right now? It's just escaped. It'll come to me. What's that? Yeah. Joe Spinell. That's it. It's Joe Spinell. But
he plays the same type of character, like almost there. So in this, he's kind of like a seedy mobster kind of guy.
Right.
In Rocky, he's a loan shark. In
Godfather is one of the,
he's a hitman.
He's a buffer.
He's a button man.
He's a button man. The family had a lot of buffers.
Yeah. The family had a lot of buffers.
Yeah, he is great. I mean, I'd watch him in anything.
But he never really did that much.
He died kind of young, which is the weird thing. But I told you, I just saw him in that movie Sorcerer not too long ago, and from '77. Didn't know he was in that until he just popped up. I'm like, hey, it's Willie Chi-Chi again, because that's all I call him is Willie Chi-Chi.
Yeah.
So what else? Anything that I'm not mentioning that you might have noticed?
I mean, there's certain things like you don't realize a lot of the funny one-liners that are delivered in it. Like when I was rewatching it, I was right at the end when Michael Keaton jumps off the balcony.
Right.
And he's like, oh, yeah, the ground broke my fall. Like little things like that. You're
right.
Like,
it was an updraft.
Yeah.
Well, he was a stand-up comedian for a little while, too, I believe. He was never a huge stand-up, but I think he did some. But then Mr. Rogers, he was on that. And
yeah, he did a lot of local stuff and then moved out to Hollywood. And obviously, at one point, he was one of the biggest actors in Hollywood.
I mean, when you look at that, what's that?
He's Batman.
He is. I mean, and do you remember that? Do you remember when they were selecting him for Batman and everyone's in an uproar? He's not going to be, he might be actually pretty good. Well, he was.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. That's like when the Dark Knight rolled around and they're like, oh, Heath Ledger, he's going to no, you got to look at it. Maybe it might, and it did work out too. Like Keaton, these people have range. You just don't see it.
Yeah. I mean, Keaton he had a lot of string of those comedies, Mr. Mom, Jumping Dangerously.
That's another movie I love.
And then, then he transitioned. I think that helped him. Batman helped him transition into another.
Well, he did Clean and Sober, I think, too, which was he played an alcoholic in rehab. So he started to. All those funny guys transition into drama, which for some reason I don't.
I think they just. I mean, I'm sure if you just do the same type of movie over and over again, you become Will Ferrell.
Exactly. he basically said the same thing about Will Ferrell. My friend does. He goes, he's exactly the same. And I'm like, well,
him, Vince Vaughn, they're all the same.
They're right. They're all the same characters. Yeah.
I really was just going to get off the topic, but I remember hearing him talk one time when they were asking him if he would do an old school too. And he said, I don't know where I could take the character of Frank the Tank from here. And it's like, you just transitioned it to the next movie.
Right, exactly.
I think you did it with Ricky Bobby. You just went from one to another.
Yeah, it's really the same, just a slight new. Maybe you had an accent in the other one, but I mean, I do like some of his movies. Don't get me wrong, because I think Anchorman is.
Oh, no, I'm not saying
I never saw
I don't like him. It's just it's the same character from the movie. I like Vince Vaughn, but it's the same character from back when he did the movie years ago with Jon Favreau.
Swingers. Yeah, which another one I watched not too long ago.
Yeah, it's a great movie. But he's like the same character from that movie to where he's at now.
Well, you brought up an interesting point too, because I was thinking about this movie, and obviously never got a sequel, but I think because it didn't really do well at the box office, and even it's not going to be like Eddie and the Cruisers, where that got a second life because of cable, and they came with Eddie and the Cruisers 2, which obviously is not a good idea. But I'm really happy they never made a sequel to this movie.
Eddie lived.
Well, he did. But I didn't want to see these characters after that, because I think it would just be terrible. It just wouldn't be a good idea. Like, where else would you take this? I mean, I don't know.
What would they be like in City Hall running an escort service or something from here?
Yeah, and the escort service in space.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like that'd be the seventh sequel.
Kind of had to, this was with the one run.
Right. Yeah. Well, there were a couple movies, back then, and I'm thinking like, well, I'm glad they didn't have sequels. Trading Places, which I mentioned earlier, I'm glad that never had a sequel. And although they did kind of reference it in Coming to America, but it's not. Coming to America should not have had a sequel. Midnight Run didn't have a sequel. Thank God, because it ended perfectly. Some movies are just not destined to it, but they want to milk the cash cow. So,
yeah, eventually you run out of different ways that you can use the characters.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. There was something else too. Well, this is a movie too where you get at the very end on the closing credits, you get the Rod Stewart version of "That's What Friends Are For."
That's
Years
right.
before, it was, God, who was it? So Stevie Wonder, Dionne Warwick.
Yeah.
Who were the other two? And I can't remember offhand. But theirs hit it big. But I actually like the Rod Stewart version kind of a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, Rod Stewart, when he first got out on his own, was going to have to do some covers to kind of build up to it.
Right.
Because he was in the Faces before that.
He was in Faces, and which is great. They did great stuff in Faces.
But I don't know if he was like the main songwriter,
Yeah, I doubt. I don't really get that. but he had a string of a couple movie soundtracks. Legal Eagles. I don't know. I just happened upon it the other day when Love Touch, and I mean, it's actually a fun song, but it's really the only good thing about that movie. And what was that telling you? If that's the only good thing, it's not a great movie.
It's like when we were talking about this movie the other day, and you were like, "Where the fuck is 4K?"
Yeah, excuse me, I didn't know he was deaf.
Yeah.
4K, and that's Vincent Schiavelli who was also in another movie from that year, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Yeah, and he was what, Ghost?
I think he was in Better Off Dead with John Cusack.
He was, yeah. So I heard you're not dating Beth anymore.
Yeah. I love that movie too.
Yeah, that's what we should do, because I mean, not many people really talk about that. I'll use that all the time. I mean, there's such great one-liners in that film.
Oh yeah,
and it's I mean, Cusack was great back then. That's he hit a stride pretty much in the '80s. I mean, he hit good stuff after that, but
dude, one of my favorite roles is he plays that geek in.
Is it 16 Candles? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I Say Anything is really good too. Obviously not as much of a comedy, but there's some funny lines in that. Let's see, what else? I don't know. Anything else you could think of about talking about Night Shift?
I mean, the plot it's kind of out there, not, running an escort service out of a morgue.
Right. It's high concept. Yeah. I mean, like who would think about that? Like, okay, yeah, that's one I'd say yes to immediately back then. I mean, I'd say yes to it now.
And they kind of reference it in there when he's taking the cops back, and the guy's like, "Oh, the morgue." He's like, "You don't mind so much if you don't think about the stiffs."
Exactly. Here's one line that kind of I thought about. Now, actually, it's one that always bothered me. So at the very end, when they're in that, I don't know, it's like, is it a Turkish bath or a spa? I don't know what it is, but it's
a spa. I don't think
it's for hookers. Yeah, it's not all for guys, but so Chuck goes, to Billy. He's like, "Hey, do you think I could do all this?" And he goes, "Do what?" He goes, "When you first met me, you said, I'm going to make Chuck a man." That's not when they first met. It was like literally in the middle of the film. They'd known each other for a long time. So that was one that I'm thinking like maybe they kind of shuffled around that line and they forgot about it.
Wasn't it? I think it was when they were in the car.
No, it wasn't in the car. It was when Keaton was taking off his muscles. Remember when he put the Kleenex or whatever, or the paper towels in, and like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I got to look muscular. There was that scene, but they were already like running things for a while, so it wasn't a big. I just thought that was kind of odd. Like that wasn't the first time that they met that he said that. It was a little bit later on.
An obscure thing that Keaton says in that scene where he's putting his muscles in when he's stuffing them down his crotch, and he has the corn dog, and he's like, "Corn dog,
right?" Corn dog.
I use that all the time.
Yeah, again, that's another throwaway because you barely hear it. Yeah. I remember you barely hear it as it goes to corn dog. There's a scene too where they, so Chuck and Belinda, they finally have sex. So they're in the tub, and Chuck tells a story about the movie Klute.
Yeah,
and he said how Jane Fonda's in it, and you think like, oh, she's in all this passion, but then she checks her watch. And I'm like, to the credit of the writers, they could have come up with something stupid there. But the great line is, and she delivers it very well, is she's like, "I don't wear a watch." So I mean, that's it could have been something really bad, like that could have been a cringe line, but like that kind of stuff made that movie.
I mean, Shelley Long she has comedic chops too.
She does, yeah, she does.
I mean,
she's really not in enough.
I think she kind of left Hollywood after.
She was in Modern Family for a while. Like, well, she made guest appearances. Yeah. So, but I mean, other than that, yeah, she hasn't.
I think she took herself out of like the Hollywood scene and.
Yeah, which is probably
I think about how much money did she have after her run on Cheers.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, was she there 4, 5, 6 years?
Yeah, probably. Well, so it lasted how many? 11. So I think she was there about 5 because I think 6. Yeah, I think it was 6 without her. So and then she came back at the end. But all right.
But if you actually look at it, he's referencing that scene from Klute. But earlier in the movie, he's in bed with his fiance,
right?
And she's over there like reaching for
it was a Cadbury egg or something. Yeah, it was something
some type of snack,
right? Yeah, and that's a nice callback to that
And
too,
he's
because she
like
just
all
doesn't
hot and
care.
bothered, and
right?
she's like reaching over for a snack.
And she's another one. She was in Seinfeld. I mean, actually, did you realize how many people that appeared in Seinfeld were in this movie? So she played George's therapist. Oh, who else was in there? There were a couple that I noticed. Now I can't think of them.
I mean, I wasn't really looking back on it, trying to figure out where else they were at.
Yeah, sometimes I'll do that because I'm like her mother, Charlotte's mother, was in Groundhog Day. I'm like, oh my god, I forgot about it. She was a lady in the car that he was jacking up and saved him from the flat tire.
You know what he wanted to do? Build furniture by hand.
She was like, just his look in the car, as the backseat as they zoom in on him. He's just so defeated at that point. And I think that was when he decided to, we've got to be pimps. Let's be pimps. We couldn't be. Oh, another line at the end I thought about. Great, you get me a Joe with Peter Lorre's son here. Charles Fleischer was Roger Rabbit. The voice of Roger Rabbit plays that cellmate who's just a complete psycho in there. Yeah, I mean, it's just a great overall comedy. It laughs from beginning to end, and it is a good story. So, yeah, I mean, we always talk about rewatchability, in terms of like glued to the set, doom scrolling and peeking, or just going to change the channel. I'd be glued to the set, and it's never on enough, for people to discover.
And the one line when they're actually having corner him in the morgue, and the guy says, "It wouldn't be right if we let you live. After we killed Franklin, he was our friend."
Oh, let me be your friend. Please let me be your friend. Yeah, I mean, it's just a great movie. If you can catch it on streaming, I mean, I would just I think I bought the DVD. I didn't get the Blu-ray because Blu-ray is kind of pricey for some odd reason. But the DVD I got for like $8.
Yeah.
Like, it's perfect. It's a crisp copy, and it's how it was meant to be seen. It's gritty. It's almost like New York back then. So, all right, well, we're going to wrap it up in a second. Or is there anything else that you wanted to talk about real quick?
No, I'd give a shout out to Henry Winkler, Ron Howard, Michael Keaton, Shelley Long.
We didn't even touch Ron Howard. Opie directed. I mean, just think about how, he was so wholesome. And then, he
Richard Cunningham directed a movie about prostitutes and.
Yeah, and it was successful. It was great. I don't think he ever did anything like that again, where it was just completely raunchy. I think that was his. Well, unless you maybe they deleted scenes from Cocoon, which I don't really want to see. If that got raunchy, I'd say
like Splash was, maybe
a little bit, yeah. But all right, well, I know you mentioned another movie. We won't mention it here because we're going to probably do it somewhere down the line. But it's going to be another movie from the late '80s, and so that'll be coming up hopefully soon. All right. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And you're going to come back, definitely.
Absolutely, buddy. I had a great time.
That's all I have for today. So as always, thank you for listening. If you liked it, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you're the first to know when new episodes become available on your favorite podcast platform. For Scenes from the Screen, I'm Sean. And until next time, don't let your screen go dark.